Alright, it's been about a year, I want to say, since I last worked on Infinite Uppercut, or since I last finished the series. So I wanted to go ahead and actually break down some of the concept art that I actually had for the comic. At least a lot of the Easter eggs and stuff that I had in it, because I've never done that before. And I've just been sifting through some of my early artwork. I don't know why I don't have more of it, but that's a whole other conversation. Yeah, so these were all early concepts for my characters. This is so weird to go back and look at, by the way. So this one right here was actually the earliest sketch that I came up with for Raekwon. This is actually pretty close to what eventually became his outfit. Actually really close. If I can find a picture of concept art. This was the final look that I sort of went with Raekwon. So it's pretty close if I actually yank this out and look at it. Yeah, it's actually really close. I changed the belt design only because my main thing with working on Infinite Uppercut was I wanted the comic to actually, in story and in the way that the characters themselves looked, I wanted to have the, and this is going to sound so ridiculous, but I wanted to have the feel of a fighting game, even though it's a comic book. I know it's crazy, but, and it was kind of a comedy too, which made it even weirder. But I changed the belt and I changed the boots simply because I didn't want to keep drawing this every single time I drew Raekwon in the story. But I pretty much went with the double necklace design and everything else. For the record, looking at the final Raekwon design, the flames on Raekwon was actually inspired by Jin from Tekken. By the way, most of the characters in my comic are heavily influenced by other fighting game characters. Like I said, fighting games was like the inspiration for this entire thing in the first place. So there's a lot of that in here. Overall, the main idea of Raekwon was sort of just to be like a black Bruce Lee or a black Liu Kang. But his design, I know I ripped the flames off from Jin from Tekken. The actual hairstyle, I ripped off from Jin and Kazuya from Tekken, but I didn't want it to just straight be Jin and Kazuya, so it's almost like a ponytail, but I wanted the head-on front shot of him to always look like that sort of Mishima or Kazuma look to it. Why, I don't know, I just like it. And then little weird designs that I like, the gold wristbands and stuff, little small stuff that I got from some of the odd costumes of Liu Kang over the years, especially in a lot of the 3D Air games. I was also a really big fan of zombie Liu Kang and Mortal Kombat Deception. So I pretty much, this is so weird to go back and look at, but I think I was hell bent on getting these wristbands and on the character. Though I don't know what the little, I don't even know what kind of a belt that is or what it's supposed to be doing. Once again, I don't know what this thing I had was with the boots. And I think all I did was just extend the pants so that they were past the boots, but I want the knee pads showing for whatever reason. So that's why I sort of got this down here on the final design. And like I said, while in theory it looks more interesting, it's like drawing that over and over again every single time I draw the character probably get kind of annoying. And my whole goal for Infinite Uppercut was to make a comic that I was going to finish no matter what. I wanted to finish the series. So I wanted to do things that I liked doing, but as simple as possible, so that I knew I could keep drawing it without getting burnt out, and I could finish the story. It wasn't going to be too time consuming. So that's why a lot of little designs in the character I started pulling back on or not really rolling with it going forward. At least specifically where Raekwon is concerned. So looking at this final design, now the belt design is a lot closer to what I ended up going with. I don't know why I drew his face so crazy. His eyes look ridiculous in this one. I don't know what was up with that. I think I just didn't go with this design because of how sloppy I drew it. I'm looking at the wristbands over here. I don't know what I was doing. Now that I think about it, I drew this 4 or 5 years ago. Wow, that's nuts. But in any event, yeah, I don't like this. Just the entire look of this, I don't like. So I'm not shocked that the giant X on this design down at the bottom. But yeah, there's nothing to even break down that I didn't like that one iota. Wow, this is pretty much the design. I think I might have just used this design itself to draw for the final render over here to the right. The only really things I can even notice that's different is like I have the double belt loops for his belt. I got the knee pads over top of the pants for whatever reason that I did that. Funny enough, this weird almost like pockets on the front of the pants, I left that in the, that's over here. It's actually in, you can't tell because how dark it is, but it's actually in the original concept sketch for Raekwon that's not in the comic itself. I completely lost that detail because you can't see it, so over time I just didn't notice it, never drew it in. So that's actually kind of hilarious now that I go back and look at that. But this is pretty much the design that I went with. And looking at it, I do like it. I don't even know where I'm sitting here like questioning whether or not I like the design or not. There's this giant check mark on the bottom of it, so I know that I did. Oh no. This screams Liu Kang ripoff from the, I wonder, can I even find like a Mortal Kombat Deception render of Liu Kang? Because it's like that, the top with the tank top, this little sash or whatever in the front, like this is with the dragon on it. Like, I'm glad I didn't roll with this one. And like I said, for him to be my main character, I made sure to like get a little bit of Jin, get a little bit of Liu Kang in here. There's a bit of Bruce Lee in the character already. There's a couple of Shoryukens in the comic itself with him with the nunchucks. That's a whole other thing. Actually read the comic itself and see some of the ridiculous things that I actually put in there with this character. But yeah, a lot of the main characters of various fighting games I got in on this one. And then I named him after Raekwon because it's just my favorite member of Wu-Tang. Bonus points if you figure out why I made him black and purple for his outfit. Yeah, and this other one, like, what's going on with the mouse? Okay, and this other one right here, yeah, this also looks pretty ridiculous. I don't know what none of this is. Like, most of the issues I'm having with these costumes is the belt. I don't know why the belt and the boots are like making and breaking these designs. Then I don't know what's going on here with his arms. I don't know what any of this is. So yeah, this was a no as well. So these were a lot of the early Raekwon concepts, and then I had, this was, oh wow, this was the Raekwon design I had of him in regular clothes. For the record, my favorite color is blue, so that was why I actually rolled with him in the blue outfit. But the yellow jumpsuit, I just didn't want to completely make it yellow because I still wanted it to be, I don't want none of the characters or anything to be a complete ripoff. So that was why, I don't know why I just didn't recolor all this blue instead of doing all that. But oh, while I'm even thinking about it, also with Raekwon, part of the reason why he was named the way he was named was his name was specifically spelled like this, and my reasoning for that was this right here. Same number of letters, same hyphenation. So yeah, my main thing, and I've said this time and time again, if you've read my comic or followed my channel for any period of time, my main thing with Infinite Uppercut was, if it makes me laugh, if I find it interesting, and if I think it's ridiculous, I'm putting it in the comic. So that was that whole experience in a nutshell. And I'm not gonna lie, it was fun. It was fun. I'm looking for one in particular, but I can't. Is this gonna show up? Ooh, barely. Okay, as best as I can pull it up. This was an idea board. I remember drawing most of this in a hurricane without a ruler, and you can tell because none of these lines are straight. Yeah, I don't even know why I'm bothering to pull the rulers down for this, but I had numerous ideas for this environment itself. One big thing that I do anyways, and I'm currently doing it in my new comic as well, is I like drawing lots of like neon lights and stuff in my artwork in general. So I wanted to put that in Infinite Uppercut when I was working on that comic. I also had the idea for, like, since there was a lot of fighting game influence and stuff like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter and whatnot, I wanted a lot of dragons and whatnot to be in some of the backgrounds. Like they have the dragon statues or whatever, like the big Buddha statue at Sagat stage or whatever. I wanted stuff like that in the background, but I didn't want it to be an actual statue, so I would just use like neon lights for it. No, that sounds crazy, but I'll show you in a second. I knew I wanted to do like a open-ended sort of background for the environment, almost like I can't even remember the name, the Jonathan Blade stage in Eternal Champions. I know it's a deep cut for a fighting game for most people, but I love the way that looked, almost with you being able to see through certain pieces of like the fan in the background. If I had an actual image to show you, I'd pull it up, but that was the thought process behind the environment. And the final piece that I ended up coming up with was this. So rather than having just normal statues, I had these like neon dragons in the background. Also, I made a digital painting called the Neon Dragon, which was just a giant neon dragon on top of a building. So that sort of also gave me the idea for this. But yeah, that was that. And then I just added these up here at the top just for no reason. Just, I thought it looked cool, so I did it. This character. So Meta was almost like the beacon of information in my story. And I kind of sort of wanted Meta to be, for lack of a better term, like Raiden-esque in terms of sort of leading details of the story that's not fully explained through narration. And so the design, I kind of had a Raiden inspired look as well, but I wanted it to look really futuristic too, without completely like ripping off the character or anything. This one seemed too much like Christopher Lambert, this one right here and this one, which are the reasons why I didn't go with those. Though when I say that out loud, I can't honestly tell you why I went with this one. I initially had Boss written on top of his little hat, and I got rid of that. It's like I'm not leaving that on the character. Though I got the idea for the little I don't even know what this is, but the things are sort of hanging from underneath the hat I got from Itachi and Kisame's straw hats in Naruto when they first arrived in the Leaf Village. I thought they looked cool on sight the first time I saw them, so I used that sort of as influence for his hat. Like I said, he was sort of inspired by Raiden, but I didn't want him to just look like a complete Raiden ripoff. Then I gave him a mask just to add some mystery to him. Like, you never see his face at any point in the story anyways. And it was kind of challenging sort of getting expressions off of this character, because I had to rely on like how I posed him in body language, because you never could see his face, so I don't have that sort of method of storytelling visually. So I had to just use his body language to see what I could do. And then because he was a sarcastic character and my sense of humor in general is just dry anyways, a lot of me was written in the dialogue for him. So that also helped with the fact that he had like no facial expression whatsoever. Oh my god. This is probably the most Toriyama-like design I had in the entire comic. Let's see if I can darken this up some. So Beaumont was the villain of the story. That one day I would actually really love to revisit this entire story, just because this world was ridiculous. This was the initial design that I had for Beaumont right here. Way too much going on. Like I said, he was the villain for my story, like the big final boss of the, well, he wasn't the final boss because he doesn't fight for a reason, but that's what I was thinking in terms of his design. So I'm sort of thinking like Akuma and Bison, but then at the same time he's a really goofy villain to be the main guy, which is why there's a lot of like Emperor Pilaf sort of Piccolo look to him. Like I said, it's the most Toriyama design I have. Like I said, all my favorite influences was in this story. Just to show that I practice what I preach when I always talk about the things that you enjoy and the things that you like. Just figure out ways to put all of you into your artwork and your comic books when you're writing and making stories and drawing and stuff. Message! Because you'll never know what's going to come out, and this is all just ridiculous. I see why I didn't go with this design. All of this is very Shao Kahn. These are just blatantly ripped off. I at least tried to make some stuff sort of different with the other characters, but some of this is just blatant. So that was the first design. This was the second one that I went with. This weird ass crown that's on the character with the X on it. I liked the idea when I did this one of the Vega style ponytail on him, so I kept it going forward. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with these boots. I don't know what this is about. Zoom in here. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my man's boots, but yeah, that's not. Nah. I don't know what was up with the X. Like, I don't know why I had an X on everything for him. Also, a bit of trivia. I named him Beaumont after Chris Tucker's character in Jackie Brown, as dumb as that is. That and the name Beaumont just screams SNK fighting game boss. I could easily see the boss of like a King of Fighters or like a Garou game being named Beaumont. Like, it just makes sense in my mind. But this was the design, the final design that I ended up going with. Only I added, in the completed design form, I added this weird little hat to him, which you actually only in like real important moments, so like big gatherings of all my characters would he ever wear that hat. The running joke of my story, it was a joke that probably I was only in on, was every time you saw the character like sort of in his throne room, he was wearing a different hat. So I would just find weird ways in like just the oddest hats to come up with to put on the character. So I'm gonna see if I can just find some of these from the story now. So this was him in a do-rag. I hope this is showing up in the, I'm praying this is showing up in the picture, but that was him in the do-rag. It's him with a cowboy hat on. I don't think, I did it so many times, I don't think I'm gonna be able to find every single hat he had in the story, but yeah, I don't even know what this hat is. I don't even know what this hat is, but I gave him that one. Yeah, like I said, every single time the character appeared, he had a different kind of hat on. And the final design was this here for him. So this ended up becoming the finished product for Beaumont. Such a stupid character. I'm showing a couple of characters. Let me see if I can find one last environment before I get out of here. Okay, this was actually, since I just showed Beaumont, I might as well show his throne room. Also, interesting little fact of the story. The majority of the fights in my story took place in, or it was this big tournament that was taking place, but the majority of the fights took place on a tour bus. Let's see if I can find a picture of it. Beaumont's tour bus, which is right here. The vast majority, wait, don't print anything. The vast majority of the fights in the story took place right here. The significance of this is, for whatever reason, when you would get on the bus, somehow there were like whole gigantic rooms on the bus itself with a lot of space. It's just all supposed to be taking place on this bus. Like it's some weird portal that you enter once you get on the bus, and there's all these crazy environments. Why not? So this was the throne room sort of in the back of the bus. And like I said, everything was like fighting game based, which is also why a lot of these environments were drawn the way that it was. It was almost drawn as if you had the characters fighting in a 2D fighting plane. Even though that's not what the fights actually look like. When you looked at the environments head on, that's sort of how I drew them in my mind. Thought it would be absolutely amazing if I could get this game made into a fighting game one day. But oh no, back up, okay. So this was the throne room. This little environment right here, I turned into this. Like I said, it's more neon lights for the sake of having neon lights. I had them here and I had them along the back window pillars. It's also another environment where I had the open-ended space in the background, but this wasn't like a window or anything like that. It was just a giant opening. And then Beaumont's throne was right here in the center, where he just laid around doing nothing, wearing his ridiculous hats. There's even a period in the story where instead of like doing evil deeds or whatever it is that he's supposed to be doing, he's playing video games. Cause why not? And he's actually playing a fighting game, and made it a point to do that as well. But those were a little bit of some of like the early concept arts and whatnot of Infinite Uppercut. Like I said, if you want to read Infinite Uppercut, you can check out the links below. If you actually want to support me at all, you can actually buy the PDFs for the comic. Those are below too. If you want to read it for free, those links are still down as well. But yeah, let me know if you want to see me do more, because I have a ton of concept art and ridiculous stuff to look at from this comic. So if you want more of these type of videos breaking down some of my artwork of my old comic book series, just let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff that YouTube requires me to do. Also helps me out. Thank you. And you all have a good one. And I'm out.